great New Year's. You didn't know that was coming, but it's New Year's. It's Monday. It's a new month too, obviously, because it's New Year's. But it's a lot of newness going on, man. I get fired up for new. I'm excited for the new adventure. I tell you, gotta have the hot Herbalife tea on deck. Nothing better than a new slate. Clean slate. It's 2018, January 1st. Like, that is such a powerful thing. It's a gift. And I hope you guys were safe last night. I hope you guys had a great time, brought it in with the people you love. And wishing you a happy New Year's. Thank you guys for supporting and being on Triple M all of 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014. I think that's when it started. 2014, maybe even started in 2013. But, man, we've been growing, you guys. And it's all because everybody's spreading the word, inviting people, finding the value, tuning in every week. So thank you for that. Today, we're going to start with one of the guys that was the first person, one of the first that really I listened to inside of personal development, and he's got one of the best New Year's talks of all time. So you may have heard this or you may have not, but no matter what, you can always get a great message. Whether you've heard it 1,000 times or it's the first time, there's always something new you can hear. So we're going to be listening to Tony Robbins talk about how to get the most out of his New Year's. Because maybe you got some goals and dreams, which I hope you do, but we're going to turn them into commitments and really plans and reality to become. So grab your notebook. Make sure you're taking notes. Type in some of your takeaways if you're at work or you can't talk, but I'm also ask for a few shares live, and we're going to get this Monday started off right. So without further ado, let's get Tony Robbins on New Year, New You.
Get way beyond just making some New Year's resolution and make some real lasting change in your life. I mean, think about it. Most people don't even make a resolution anymore. Why? Because they've made them from years and years and years, and they know they're not going to follow through. So after a while, who wants to disappoint yourself? Who wants to be upset with yourself? Why even bother to set a new standard for this year? You know it's going to be the same as last year. If you're the kind of person watching this right now and you've actually opened this email and you haven't shut me off already, then obviously that's not you. So the question is, what is it that makes us even want to make a resolution? I mean, it's an interesting question. Why is it at the beginning of a year we have this tradition, but it goes beyond tradition. It's something inside of us that makes us want to make things better. And I think part of it is the calendar gives us this idea that we can have a fresh start, that we can start from fresh and have this great victory. And it's really, the calendar itself is quite arbitrary. It's wonderful to use it, but if you didn't use it effectively, let's use the calendar to serve you today. Let's just see, what does it really take to make this thing happen? Because there's no denying that inside of you, the only thing that's going to make you happy in the year ahead and the decades ahead is going to be having you have an experience where on a regular basis, you feel like your life is making progress. If there's one thing I teach, and I want to remind you of it, it's really simple. Getting things is not going to make you happy. That's good news in a tough economy. It's a good reminder. It doesn't matter what you get. Doesn't matter whether it be money or opportunity. All those things might excite you for the moment. Even a relationship, as magnificent it may be, might be exciting for a while. But if you don't keep growing, that relationship isn't going to stay exciting. So the secret to real happiness is progress. Progress equals happiness. And if we can make progress on a regular basis, we feel alive. And that's why at the beginning of the year, we get this thing like, okay, I can have this fresh start. I could really do what my soul desires. I could expand. I could grow. I could improve. I could change. Or maybe better than change, I could progress. See, think about that. Progress is an aliveness to it, doesn't it? You don't have to work at changing. People say all the time now, well, I'm working on changing. Don't worry about it. You don't have to work on changing. Change is automatic. Your body's going to change whether you want it or not as the years go by. And no matter how hard you work, there's going to be some changes going on there. The economy is going to change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do who make a resolution. Because really, isn't that what they're really doing at the beginning of the year? They're saying, well, here's my resolutions for the year, and they really basically tell you their wishes. It's their wish list. It's what they hope it all comes together. And then they call it a resolution, but they don't know what a resolution is. When you resolve something, to have a resolution is to resolve it. When you've resolved, this is how it's going to be, that's when you cut off any possibility except the thing you've committed to. It's like the old adage, if you want to take the island, you burn the boats. Because when you burn those boats, there's no going back. You're going to find a way to make things work. And most people, they're stating what they hope will come together, and if it doesn't happen, then they're disappointed, but they're not too disappointed because they're not too vested. What does it take to successfully create a lasting change in your life? To not only have a New Year's resolution you follow through on, but really have a lasting change? Well, the first step for lasting change is very much like making a New Year's resolution. Fundamentally, it's the same. The first step is you got to have a vision for what it is you really, truly want. Not what you think you want or what you should have. I mean, what are most people's New Year's resolutions? I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. The problem with that is it's not very inspiring for most people. It's not telling you what you're going to get. It's only what you're not going to do. And it's kind of hard to have you move forward with that. A vision is about what you're here to create. A vision that really works is one that excites you. If you say, well, my resolution, my goal, my outcome for this month, this week, this year is to lose X number of pounds, that's okay, but it's not very compelling. It has to be a compelling vision. It's got to have something that has the power to pull you, not something you have to push yourself to do. Those are two different kinds of motivation. Push requires willpower, and willpower never lasts. What will last is pull. Having something so exciting, so attractive, something you desire so much that you have a hard time going to sleep at night and you get so up early in the morning to rock it and take it to the next level. That's what you're looking to create. And that isn't easy to get. But one of the reasons we do seminars, we say, why do that? Why not just read a book or something? Is because when you get in an environment where you're with people that are being put in a peak state, like when you're going to a sporting event, if you watch a sporting event at home, it might have a certain level of excitement. But when you're in a stadium with 50,000 people, suddenly it has a whole different level of intensity. And we feel that. And the bottom line of our follow-through comes down to our emotional intensity. In a different state of mind, you're going to come up with a much better and a more exciting vision than if you're sitting on the couch going, okay, what are my new resolutions for this year? And you're doing it the morning after the new year has started and you're a little inebriated and the football game's on in the background. Probably not going to have the power of focus there. Probably not going to have the power of the energy to create something that's going to pull you for this year. And you got to do that. So it's got to be a vision that's compelling. Something that it's going to be a gift to make sure that it happens. And also, along with that compelling vision, you got to have strong enough reasons that you're going to follow through when the going gets tough. That's one of the biggest things missing for most people. They say, this is what I want to do. It's not very exciting. It's not very compelling. But most importantly, they don't have strong enough reasons to push themselves through what's going to be necessary to get that dream, to get that goal, when the inevitable challenges come up, when you're starving, hungry, and you're trying to go on a diet, right? When you got no time and you're stressed out and you haven't worked out still, and that's what you're supposed to do. When the economy gets tight and what you thought you're going to do doesn't work, and so you give up on the goal instead of finding another way to get there. You don't let the fear take you over if you've got strong enough reasons. Those reasons can be positive, or those reasons can also be negative. They can be, if I don't do this, this is what's going to cost me. And if I do this, this is what I'm going to gain in my life. Reasons come first, answers come second. If you get a compelling vision and you got strong enough reasons that will push you through the tough times, you're going to do things other people don't do. Instead of collapsing, even if you get off target, you won't go, oh, I blew it. You'll get right back on target, make the change, make things happen. And I know you've done this in many areas of your life. Just think about it again. I'm not teaching you something really new here today. I just want to remind you of what your soul knows. You got to change, you got to improve, and you got to go through a simple process fundamentally to make that progress. First step, vision that's compelling. Second step, make sure that there's strong enough reasons to follow through. Third step, you got to review it and feel it every day. I mean, anything. Have you ever had this happen in your life? Has there been anything in your life that you've ever wanted so badly? You were so desirous of it. You had such a hunger for it that you couldn't stop thinking about it. Could have been a career move, could have been when you were a kid, a car, it could have been a relationship, it could have been anything, but you were obsessed. You wanted to make this happen. You wanted to attract this to your life. You just wanted something. And you didn't even know how to get it. But it was so compelling to you. You kept thinking about it every day, envisioning it, imagining it, feeling it. And then stuff happened. And suddenly you started to attract people or situations to your life, and it just came together. Like, you didn't even have a total plan. It was just that it was so a part of your focus with so much intensity and emotion so often that it sensitized you to notice anything that could get you there. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. For short, we call it the RAS. That part of your brain determines what you notice in the world. And it's really important because when you set a goal, when you get really clear on a vision and there's strong enough reasons and you review it enough and it becomes a part of you, that part of your brain says, anything that relates to this, I need to notice. It's like, did you ever buy a certain kind of car or maybe a certain outfit and suddenly you see that car everywhere, or those outfits everywhere? Well, you know the cars were always around, but why do you see it now? Because your RAS knows this is important, this is part of my world now. Similarly, when you really get clear and it's compelling and you're reviewing it every day, you've got strong reasons and you're reviewing it every day and you're feeling it, the brain becomes incredibly acute at noticing anything to get you to move forward. And so that's the power of this. So, what do people do with a New Year's resolution? They come up with something they kind of want. It's not a compelling vision. They don't really have strong enough reasons, and they never review it again until they notice that they broke what they said they really want to have make happen, because they didn't really resolve. If you resolve, you got the vision, it's compelling, you review it daily, and you feel it, you envision it, and you experience it. Simple as it sounds. Now, ultimately, what is this really about? Ultimately, if you're going to have lasting change in anything, you're really talking about just raising your standards. I always tell people, if you want to know how to change your life, I give it to you in 3 words, boring as it sounds: raise your standards. And what does that mean? Corny as it sounds. Raise your standards. Oh, thank you for the breakthrough thought, Tony. I'm glad I wasted my time watching this little email with you. But think about it. Lasting change is different than a goal. You don't always get your goals, but you always get your standards. Maybe it would help you is to think about it this way. I try to explain standards to people with a different set of words. Think of it as everybody in life gets their musts. They don't get their shoulds. Think about it. Most people have a list of shoulds, don't they? Don't you have a list of the shoulds, things you should do, you should follow through on? I should lose some weight, I should work out more, I should make more calls, I should respond more rapidly to my email, whatever, I should get into the office earlier, I should be, more confident, whatever your should list is. People love to have their should list be met, but it's kind of like New Year's resolutions. If it does, it's really exciting, but if it doesn't, which is most of the time, it's a little disappointing, but you kind of know it's not going to happen. But when you decide something is a must for you, an absolute must, when you cut off any possible, you say, I'm going to find the way or I'm going to make the way. Human beings, when they resolve things, when they make a real resolution inside themselves, which is they raise the standard and they make it a must, they find the way. Think about it in your own life. Haven't you had some area of your life where you raise your standard and your life has never been the same? Maybe at one time in your life you smoked cigarettes, or you did something and you did it for years and you kept trying to change it and kept telling yourself I should. And then one day something happened. Something just clicked you over. Something took you over that kind of tipping point. And inside yourself you said no more. And it was a very, very different experience, wasn't it? Something inside of you shifted, and what was a should became a must, and you've never gone back. Is there an area like that in your life you can think of? Again, did you ever smoke cigarettes? Did you ever eat a certain way, drink a certain form of alcohol, and then finally say no more, and you just don't go back? And notice this, it doesn't really take any willpower anymore. Because somewhere when we make this click, when we make something a must, we attach ourselves to it. It becomes part of our identity. And one thing I've learned in the last, 33 years of working with people from now over 100 countries, 4 million people, is human beings absolutely follow through on who they believe they are. If you said to me, well, I'm really going to work hard to stop smoking, but I've been a smoker my whole life and I am a smoker, I know your days are numbered. You're going to be back smoking cigarettes again, because we all act consistent with who we believe we are. I tell people the strongest force in the whole human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. If you define yourself as somebody who is really conservative, you're not going to be crazy and act nuts unless you're really drunk or something, and then you can say it's the alcohol, when it's really just you finally getting permission to be yourself. The alcohol is your excuse. If you're a really crazy person, you act crazy, outrageous, playful. You don't act conservative because that's not who you are. Very often people say, well, I can't do that. I'm not that kind of person. And I always say to people, really, when did you define yourself? Really, how many years ago did you come up with what you could and couldn't do in your life? How many years ago? Most people, if they really look at how they're living their life today, it's based on a set of standards, a set of beliefs that they made choices about 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. Very often we made decisions in our youth or very young about what to believe, about what we were capable of, about who we are as a person, and that becomes the glass ceiling, if you will, that controls us. there's a corny metaphor, but it's true. I remember one time I was with my family at the circus, and there was a person there, and they had this big, giant elephant. You look at this elephant, and they take this little rope, put it around the elephant's neck, and they drive this stake into the ground. And I mean, you look at this, and you know that elephant could rip down the entire tent with almost no effort, and yet the elephant doesn't struggle, doesn't try. Why? Because the elephant's conditioned. And they take that elephant and condition the elephant when it's a baby elephant. That's how they train him. When it's a little baby elephant and it doesn't have the power yet, they put a big rope around it and they drive this huge stake in the ground, and the elephant fights and fights and fights. And one day, finally, that elephant decides, I'm not capable of pulling this out. And once that becomes the definition of an identity of anyone, an elephant in this case, they don't even try anymore. It's just who I am, that's how it is, that's just the way it is in my life. I'd like to ask you to take a look at any place you've got a limitation and ask yourself, when did I decide to accept that limitation? And you may not even see it as a limitation. You might see it as just, that's who I am. But so often in our lives, we've adapted to be a certain way so that we don't fail or so that people will like us or respect us, but it's not necessarily who we are. Joy comes when you're spontaneous. It's really hard to be truly happy when
Awesome nuggets, man. I always love that video. We're going to get a few shares and takeaways. One of my biggest takeaways is the secret to real happiness is progress. I love this because I've experienced this myself when I've achieved certain things, and then I had a period of where I thought I had done all I needed to do and didn't progress for an amount of time. I found myself unfulfilled, unhappy, feeling empty. And I was like, what the heck? I thought I did what I needed to do, as if doing what I needed to do was a one-time thing. And really, if you've looked at any time in your life where you've maybe been unhappy, where there wasn't a direct cause, you know, something bad that happened, maybe a loss or anything, but just when you were like, I don't know, it's probably been a time of stagnation, a time of staying still in your mind. But I love what he said. He said, you're going to change. Times are going to change. People grow older. Relationships change. Your body changes. The economy changes. All these things he said are true. Think about it. It's 2018. It's not even the same world it was in 2015, let alone 2010, 2005. But change is going to happen, but progress is different. Progress is a different kind of change. Progress is the change you want in the direction you want. And I really love that, because if you're looking for happiness in your life, he said it's not going to come from the things, you guys. And I think this is really true. The money, the cars, the clothes, the stuff isn't happiness. You know what it gives you temporarily is it gives you, if you haven't had it before and then you have it, it's equated to progress in your brain. So you're loving it the first time, but that's not going to do it for you forever. The fact that you got it was your first progress, but now you got to continue to progress. Maybe it's a health result. Maybe you lost some weight. Maybe you gained some muscle. And that was your first result, and you've been staying there this whole time, wondering why you don't feel as excited about your results anymore. It's because you haven't continued to progress them. Maybe you got to a certain level in Herbalife, in the marketing plan, in the business, and you were loving it at first, and then you don't feel as excited about it now in 2017 going into 2018. It's probably because you haven't done the things that helped you progress in the beginning to continue to progress. There's a different kind of mindset. There's a mindset of, I'm doing this to get there, and then when I'm there, I'm going to coast, to I'm doing this because this is who I want to be. This is who I want to become on a daily basis. This is the person I want to be. The person that strives, expands, and grows. I really believe that on this journey in our lives that our souls are eternal and we go through multiple lives. It's just my personal belief. In every life we're meant to learn and grow and expand. Just like the universe started from a big bang and expanded out. Just like humans were in a certain part of the world and then they expanded out. One day we'll be on other planets. Life has a natural tendency to want to expand. And I believe the same is true for you. Your expansion comes from your progress. New adventures, new experiences, new relationships, new awareness, new whatever. Expansion. So if you're not expanding, then you're going against your natural way of being. And if you can understand this as just a way of being, imagine how much different the journey will be. Because I guarantee you, all the people that you look up to and admire, in celebrities, in national figures, in Herbalife, in their health results, in their, finances, in their success financially, The people that you admire and continue to admire will be because they continue to progress. It's not because they hit it one time and then they were done and they got there. I'm done. They got there, and then they got there, and then they got there, and then they got there. You're like, what the heck? They continue to progress. And the same can be true for you if you become the kind of person that progresses, the kind of person that values and intentionally grows. So that was my biggest one. I'm going to give you one last one, environment. You talked about the power of environment to enhance, influence, and make you want to progress. And I think that's what we have here on Triple M. I think that's what we have here in the Herbalife community. If you're a part of the community, you got to get around people that want to grow. Because everybody, it's sad to say, doesn't want to grow. And that's all right. That's their journey right now. It's not good or bad. But if you want to grow, then you got to get around people that want to grow. And it might be uncomfortable at first. And it might also be uncomfortable leaving where you left from. Not that you leave them because they're good or bad. It's just you want to make decisions for your future, not the future of a group. And you want to understand that your progress, your expansion, your evolution is your biggest priority in life. It's not even the job of your parents. It's not even the job of your school. It's your responsibility. So you can't put the reason why you do or do not on anybody else but your shoulders. And I feel like that will be the difference for you in 2018, your environment and your progress. If you focus on just those two things going into the new year, I guarantee you your year will be better than last year. And if you just get a little bit better every year, guess what? That's progress. So I'm going to leave you with those two. Roxy, you ready to hit us with some nuggets?
Yes. 1 second. I was pull up my notes. That was really awesome. All right. So for me, some of my biggest takeaways, I really love how the first step to lasting change is to have a vision and to know what it is that you really like are seeking and desiring for your life. You know, he said most people fail in life because they develop a wish list. And that's that's the difference, you know. I remember for me at one point in my life where I was just want all of these things, but there was no action behind any of the things that I wanted. So in all reality, you can say that you want all of these things, but if you don't have a vision and if you don't have that thing that pulls you, then you're never going to get there. And that's one of the biggest things that he said. You want to create something that has you like pulling you. You know, versus he's like, willpower will only last for so long. It only lasts for so long. And for me, what I relate to it is our journey inside of Herbalife. You know, like for instance, life happens, things get tough, you know, and we can have 1,000,001 excuses as to why we don't show up. You know, inside of what we do, it's events, you know, and for us in our 5-year journey with Herbalife, like we've never missed an event in the 5 years, regardless of how we felt, regardless of what's going on. And like, why? Because the vision keeps on pulling us, and we know that those are the necessary steps in order for us to get where it is that we want to go. So I really, really love that. And then second one, I love how he said lasting change comes from raising your standards. It's like that's the secret to change your life. You just gotta be willing to raise your standards. And he said, like that to me, like just resonates like so much. You know, again, back to what we do. Inside of what we do, it's inside of everything. So for instance, like we work with people, and sometimes I'll have clients who fall off and don't go with the process, and then they message me how they want to get back on, and it's like this tug of war type thing that they have going on with themselves. And I tell them, like, for you, like what you really need to get clear on is who you are and like what you see for yourself as you, like what's your vision for you, and really like setting standards for yourself of what you will accept from yourself and what you won't like accept. And I think that's the biggest difference maker. You know, it goes back to like, we don't always feel like going to the gym, but it's in the standard of who we are. It's in the standard of who we know like we are. So we go whether we feel like it or not. Inside of our Herbalife business, the way that we perform, it's not because X, Y, and Z. It's because that is the standard. 10K and above is the standard. And that has been the biggest difference maker inside of like our life, inside of my life, inside of everything that we do, is really getting clear on who you are, where you want to go, what's your vision, and really setting a standard of what you will accept. Because I mean, just look at the world, you guys. There's so many people that have achieved so much success in every single facet of like what we know and what we believe. So it's just like, all we got to do in order to get there is keep raising our standards, because that's really what's going to get us there.
Love it. Great nuggets. Raise your standard. And when your standard raised, your actions have to meet it. You know, I love it. I've seen this happen a lot of time when, you know, you work with a lot of previous athletes that maybe were working out hard when they were athletes, and then they maybe, you know, aren't eating or are eating the same, but then not as active after they stop playing. And they'll always say, man, I know I'm an athlete. I look in the mirror, I know who I am. And that's because their brain is, I'm an athlete. Mm-hmm. And they snap back quicker. Why? And I see another person that's like, you know what, I've always been big bone. You know, I've always been, you know, I fall off. That's kind of who I am. I get back up, I fall off. They have the mindset and belief of, I'm the person that falls off. So it's who you are. And then I love what Roxy said, it's what you'll accept from yourself. You got to almost be your own coach. And you got to have pep talks with yourself. Be like, yo, man, I'm not accepting this from you. I know you're better than this. You may not even have anybody around you that'll pep talk you like that. And sometimes you got to do it to yourself, knowing that you're capable. And even if you don't know, maybe you doubt, you got to fake like you know. Because what's the point of not believing in yourself? That doesn't help you. So when you pep talk yourself, you got to know, yo, this is what I know you're capable of. I know you can do more than this. I know you can do more than you're doing. Because maybe everybody around you is just giving you rainbows and butterflies. And nobody around you is going to keep it real. Because a lot of people say they want to be kept real with, and then you keep it real and they get upset. So maybe people stop keeping it real with you. But you got to keep it real with yourself.
And this is what he said. He said, you don't always get your goals. You always get your standards. In life, you get your must, not your should.
What's a must for you? That's a powerful. Let's get 1 to 2 shares. Give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're excited to share like your biggest takeaway from today's Triple M. Anna, what you got?
Hey guys, I really liked the shares that you guys said as well, but the one that stuck with me is having a vision. So like, what do you want to create for your life? And you know, it's gonna get tough, like Roxy said, you know, like things are gonna happen in life and you just kind of have to push through them, and life goes on no matter what. But you have to really have reasons that are gonna pull you through to what you want to create. And he said something about like, make sure you get excited about, you know, going to bed and like why you want to wake up and what you're going to do the next day. I think I struggle with a lot of fear. So there's a lot of things that, you know, our mind or our brains will protect us from, and saying like, oh, you can't do that. You know, you can't, you know, lose 30 pounds or whatever, but you just kind of have to believe and really be clear on like what you want to create for your life, and just getting rid of all those fears, because you know, if somebody has done it before, like why can't you do it? So yeah, I thought that was really good. So, and I'm going to keep the secret to happiness equals progress, because I think, you know, even in my journey through Herbalife, I've definitely like have become a lot happier through making more progress each day. So
love it. Great tips. I love the vision. This is a tip for your 2018. If you want it to be exciting, you got to have an exciting vision. A lot of people don't have that vision that excites them, so it's all right if they get up and just make whatever out of the day, because they're like, well, there's nothing to really create anyway. And I found that doesn't come from a lack of knowing that there's more. It comes from a lack of believing that they can have it. Somewhere along the way, somebody told them, or they saw their family or their community live a certain way, and there was somewhere along the way that they started to believe that that's how it was for them as well. And once they accepted that as truth, they stopped believing that they could have more. So why even try? But that doesn't have to be you, because he said, remember, when did you decide who you were? When did you decide what you were going to be capable of? When did you make these decisions? Are you operating off a 5-year-old's decision now as a grown adult? And that's really powerful because it may be your parents that you learned from and you don't even know. It may be your school. It may be your aunts and uncles. It may be a movie that you saw that you thought was how you were in your community or your race or background was. And these are going to be crucial because you got to break that, because if you don't have a compelling vision, there's a reason for it. But once you have a compelling vision, I'm telling you guys, it gets so much easier. It gets easier to wake up early when you're excited. It gets easier to go to the gym when you're excited. It gets easier to do the hard work, to do the follow-up, to work on yourself, to put in the effort. It's so much easier when the vision is like, man, I can't freaking wait. I can't wait to put on that bikini or that shorts or that tank top and feel amazing. I can't wait to go to that vacation and take the pictures. I can't wait to live there. I can't wait to help that person. I can't wait to have my family live like this. There's an energy in it that doesn't come from food. It doesn't come from sleep, because you can be missing both and still be energized, and you can have both and still be de-energized. It comes from a belief in more for yourself and your family, and therefore what you got to do doesn't really matter, because you like, yo, it's happening. I don't care how it happens. It's just going to happen. And if you don't have that right now, then start asking yourself just why. Why don't I believe? Because you might have to bump up against some beliefs at first, because you may not even know you're operating in them. That's what's crazy. You'll be operating in them and not even know. It's like the water. When you're in the water, the fish doesn't know they're in the ocean. They're just like, yo, this is the way it is.
It's like he said, when did I decide to ask yourself, when did I decide to, how do you say accept? Am I saying it right?
Accept.
This limitation.
There you go.
Accept.
When? Accept. When did you decide? And was it okay? Was it right? Is it accurate? This is the last thing I'm going to give it to you. Is there other people achieving what you decided you couldn't? And if there is, how does that make sense? In Herbalife, I remember there were too many people from too many backgrounds having too much damn success for me to say, hey, this doesn't work. And it couldn't work for me. I was like, man, there's moms, there's dads, there's grandpas, there's grandmas, there's fit people, there's non-fit people, there's men, there's women, there's young, there's old, there's this race, there's that race. I'm like, damn, everybody. So if they can do it, what would be the excuse that I couldn't? There's too many examples. And all you got to do is look at what you want to do, and I guarantee you there's a lot of examples, so it can't be the thing. It's got to be you. That's the limit. Not the thing is limiting. There's too many people that have done it for it to be limited. It's got to be the limits in you. You got to find the limit and get through what's called the limiting belief. That's it. 2018. Fired up, you guys. Thanks for tuning in live, watching the recording. We passed time. Paying it forward. Post a recording or post your biggest takeaway and invite to next week's Triple M. Fired up for the best 2018 ever. I'm going to take everybody off mute. Where's the energy at?
Hey, happy New Year!
Peace out, y'all. Have a great Monday and a great New Year.